All right, here's our top 5 coaches heat meter, volume 3. Some new names on the list this week. Some old, some new. One I took off just for this week. And he might be on next week, depending on if anybody gets fired this week. But number 5, new to the list. Why is it so hot in this room? Dana Holgerson. We talked about this early in the show. It's not rosy right now in Houston. And there are things going on in that team, fighting on the sideline like we talked about earlier in the show, and, angry press conferences, and Dana looking kind of spent when it comes to this group of players, that if they don't get it turned around soon, he's going to move up from number 5 on this list pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would just say, though, I need to look into his contract. That's the thing we got to take into account is, it's fun for us to just say, he's ticking me off, let's fire him. But, okay, are you cutting a $15 million check to get rid of, whoever it is? That's the thing. I don't know exactly off the top of my head what his contract structure is. So it might be a situation where it's, totally feasible. And in that case, I could see where their patience could run thin very quickly. But if not, that might complicate matters, as it often does when you don't necessarily have a big chunk. But then again, Fertitta's got money. So if he wanted to get rid of Holgerson, I'm sure he'd find a way to do it. But, yeah, I do think you have to at least have the conversations about where is this kind of going with Holgerson in Houston, because right now it seems very, very anxious and kind of out of whack.
Yeah, they just extended him earlier this year.
There you go. Yeah. So it's more expensive than it was a few months ago. That's for sure.
By the way, Houston's unveiling all black uniforms on their game Friday. So
I think if Baylor did that, the fan base would lose its mind to get black uniforms back.
Yeah.
But that's cool for Houston.
Yeah. Let's see, it looks over $12 million on the buyout right now. So they got a guy who can do it easily, but does he want to? Again, just because he can doesn't mean he will.
Right.
Number 4, grabbing the extinguisher, Scott Satterfield. Now, I think he has maybe quieted the crowd a little bit, but not having his athletic director is going to be tough throughout the year. He has Malik Cunningham, who's an exciting player, but they've lost a couple of close games, and they've got to start winning, or he's going to be out the door. I think he's quieted the crowd a little bit, but I still think he rubs everybody the wrong way.
Well, I think going and searching for a job in just everybody's face definitely rubbed people the wrong way, and he's not going to quite get back over that anytime soon, I don't believe. But, yeah, I mean, I haven't felt like there's been too much conversation. Maybe in Louisville circles or ACC circles there's more of that, and I just haven't seen it or come across it. But I think this one is like a wait and see. Again, I don't know his situation, but I do know he rubbed people the wrong way. They're okay. But, yeah, let's check in on him again in a few weeks and kind of see where they are.
Yeah. Number 3, gas leak. This is in honor of something that happened in my house yesterday, which was terrifying. But I'm okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I don't know, like right now.
I hope so.
Yeah, okay.
I hope so. Number 3, gas leak. Jeff Hafley at Boston College. Boston College has a ton of injuries on their offensive line, and make that that's a reason why they're struggling. Ton of injuries all over the field, but they got Phil Jurkovec back, the best quarterback they've had in a long time, and he has no time to throw. The offense is kind of hapless. They're not winning games, and this was supposed to be a year where BC, after a decent year last year, took a step forward. They didn't, and Jeff Hafley new to the list this week.
Or haven't.
They haven't. They didn't. Yeah, they haven't yet. And it's going to be hard because they have a lot of injuries. And he was someone that they really liked and looked like they did take a step forward last year. But they've taken, based on the early part of this season, 2 steps back.
Yeah, I mean, you said the quarterback, Phil Jurkovec, is coming back. So yeah, that's obviously great news. He's the only player or one of the only players I could name off of that roster. Hey, who plays for Boston College? Like that would be one of them. But yeah, I don't know much about his situation, I'll be honest with you. And quite frankly, Boston College is a team that anytime they're mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, Boston College exists. Yeah. Like that's just kind of how it is for me. And I don't mean that disrespectfully towards them in any way. It's just that they're not a big player in my mind when it comes to college football. So with that, I default on how the fan base feels about him, because I would just I'd be totally guessing. They might be fine because there's so many injuries that it's like, oh, it's okay. I could tell from a quick Google search. There's plenty of people who are, talking about him being gone. So I don't know exactly, but yeah, like what? I guess my question would be, what does Boston College want to be ultimately?
Well, they and Georgia Tech have kind of similar, situations in that. Boston College, obviously Massachusetts and New England is not a high school football talent hotbed. Not to say there's not guys up there, but, nobody's doing shows about, the top 50 commits from the state of Massachusetts. Just doesn't happen in surrounding areas. But they are, like, there's academic things, it's a Jesuit school. So there's different things that you have to deal with. So they're in the, they have to kind of be like Notre Dame and Georgia Tech while not being as big as those in a different area. But they've won in the past, they've won in the past. So they can win there. And you can win anywhere. If you have the right people, you can win anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But it's weird for them.
I guess my main thing is, okay, he's a younger guy. You knew there's probably going to be some growing pains. Are you willing to go through some growing pains? Or do you have boosters who feel like, no, we should be better than this? And that's what I don't know. And I can't imagine that Boston College has those boosters that are like that impatient and feel like they belong, they belong somewhere, quicker. So yeah, maybe it's too early for him, but I have, his name's being, starting to circulate a little bit, as you said.
Yeah. Number 2, smash the glass. Jeff Scott, a couple weeks ago, had Florida on the ropes, and that could have maybe changed his stars a little bit, but now
it's over, Johnny.
It's over. It's over. No 1 and 2 are probably on the same list, but it's the top 5, not the top 4 and 2 at the top. So
they're just not very good. Gary Bohannon's, it was funny when, and I'm like funny, mean or anything, but when Gary Bohannon transferred, I remember there was a lot of people that just didn't know well enough. Like, and that's why I don't try to front on this show and pretend like I don't know what I don't know about. But like, you could tell that people like didn't quite know really what the gauge was of Gary Bohannon in Waco. So they saw him Big 12 champion and all that. And like, how do you get rid of Gary Bohannon for this Blake Shapen guy, even if he played a little bit? It's like, watch South Florida right now. And that's why they got rid of Gary, or didn't get rid of, but that's why they chose Blake Shapen over him. And it's not just Gary Bohannon's fault by any mean either. There's a lot of problems there. And yeah, I can't imagine that USF is going to go through another year of this. I don't see how.
He's one of the 3 best players on their team, and he just got there. That's the problem.
I know,
that's the problem.
It's not good. So yeah, like I said, I don't see, and I feel for Gary, because it's like I said, it's not him being like the guy that's causing all of it, but I don't know how they can do this for another year.
Yeah. And number 1, save yourselves. Karl Dorrell got the dreaded vote of confidence this week, which in Colorado speak right now is we're just trying to figure out how to pay this out, because there is.
Why did I feel like they won? They obviously did.
They're
not
just
even close.
They're bad, and he's even saying like, well, I like the way that our guys love football. They're just not good at it. I mean, he even
probably because he got a vote of confidence after
maybe that was it.
And you feel like, oh, they must have done something good to get that vote of confidence. No, they did not. They got destroyed again. That TCU loss at the beginning of the year, you could kind of tell at the time, if you watched that game, you could see that like neither team was particularly good because it was the first game of the year, but TCU was clearly better and Colorado was clearly not very good at all. Mm-hmm. And they've had kind of a, they've switched quarterbacks. They got a lot of Texas guys on that roster, so I typically would root for them to do well. But yeah, it's just not coming together, and it's not looking like it's going to. And it's tough because there was Colorado, and they had Mel Tucker, and here comes Michigan State, like just refusing to not, refusing to go a different direction. They got Mel Tucker, and that kind of changed the trajectory of Colorado. And now you kind of wonder with Michigan State of like, did they get a little bit too aggressive in that regard with a contract extension? But that's another conversation. For Colorado, though, it really screwed them up because they thought Mel Tucker was going to be their coach. And Karl Dorrell, I know he's respected and all that, but there's nothing there, man. Like there's no juice. There's no optimism, as best I can tell. And that's another school where it's like, what do they expect to be? Is this like we're the Big 12 North contenders with Nebraska back in the 90s Colorado that they think they should be? Is this national champion Colorado in the early 90s, the fifth down expectation? Or is this basically that they've just been there for like 20 years now and are happy to collect the Pac-12 paycheck? I don't know what they want to be or what they expect to be at Colorado anymore, and I'm not sure that they do either, but I do know that the direction they're going, it's not working, and Karl Dorrell is a very safe bet. along with a Jeff Scott to probably be one of these jobs that opens up.
You really think about it, the teams that left the Big 12, Nebraska's a shell of themselves, and they were okay when they left. They played for the Big 10 champion or Big 8 champ or 12 championship. Good God, the numbers. And then they did a couple of things that nothing.
They played for a national title in 01. I know it's 20 years
Missouri
now.
left, and they early on had a little bit of run with the SEC when they won a division, but and that's an alarm for our promo. Sorry about that. They've done nothing
Since they first got there.
A&M was just basically who they are.
I actually argue they maybe been better,
Colorado
though,
is just
in some ways, A&M.
completely-
Yeah.
A&M's
now,
more high profile than they were, I feel like.
Yeah.
If anybody had benefited, I think it was A&M, but not like in a national
Johnny
championship
Manziel
way.
gave immediately.
Of course.
But after that, it was just now they've gotten a lot of attention, including today's note about the commitment. But Colorado just evaporated.
Yep.
I will make the argument that no one who has changed conferences recently, and I'll go back to Arkansas. And look, Arkansas in the SEC has been fine, but they've never won the dang thing. So
Have they been fine?
I mean,
They've had moments.
They've had moments, but-
Well, yeah, but
they've never won it.
No.
Right?
No.
So, it's
so
great.
That means USC, UCLA, Texas, Oklahoma, and the incoming 4 from the Big 12. We don't have anything else to tell you.
I mean, you never know. I mean, right now the numbers are not on your side, but the whole world's changing, so we'll see.
I feel great about saying that the 4 teams that are leaving will not reach Colorado status and stay there as long as the Buffs have. Even with UCLA, with the money pouring in, I don't see how they'll even allow that to happen because they'll just buy themselves a team that can be more successful in this next iteration of college football. But yeah, it's sad to see what Colorado's kind of become an afterthought, and I'm not trying to pile on. It's just that we're talking hot seats. You definitely have to have Karl Dorrell on there.
Yep. From the